Driving in my car, he says.
Welcome to the Synapse Philosophy Group. We are jamming with 1910 D.D. Palmer's The Chiropractors Adjuster. We're on page 109. And I want to start off by saying, let's get some people new to this group. We have people from all over the world. We have some people coming in from Mexico, hopefully today, Brazil, and Europe. They listen, and we know this is on, we put it on our YouTube page and our Spotify podcast. So, lots of people listen to it at off the hours, but invite people to it and send people because, this is life-changing information for chiropractors and the people they care for. Now we're on page 109. Navigation. Our master reader, Alan Lichter, is going to do some reading, and then we discuss it. Chris, you're new to the group, and people are new to the group. What we do is we do some reading from DD. We get some, if we need clarity or want to discuss something, you're welcome to ask questions. There's nobody right or wrong. You're not going to be condemned for your answer, your question. So this is freedom, but everyone has an opportunity to share, okay? What I'm going to do is mute everybody out. And Alan, if you can unmute yours. There we go.
I'm back.
Okay. 109, we're at the first page.
Uh-oh. Hello? I lost you.
Go ahead.
There you go. All right, so 109 at the top of the page, then energy, mental impulses, and electricity are not synonymous. They do not mean one and the same thing. Electricity is an inanimate force. It is an agency to whose action are due numerous phenomena in physics. The science of matter and motion. When applied to the human body, it shocks, is death-dealing. It does not give vitality or life. A mental impulse is an incitement of the mind by innate or spirit in the form of an abrupt and vivid suggestion prompting some unpremeditated action or leading to an unforeseen knowledge or insight. Energy is manifested in various forms as mechanical, electrical, chemical, and thermal. Functional energy is due to thermal force. The amount of heat determines the quantity and quality of action. An element is one of the simple substances of which the physical universe is composed, as earth, air, fire, and water. None of these keep the body in health, are not interfered with by pressure upon nerves.
Let's pause 1 second there. How many times is mental impulse used to describe chiropractic? And BJ used mental impulse. Mental impulse is an incitement of the mind by innate or spirit in the form of abrupt, vivid suggestion. Innate is not the mental impulse. It's a vital force he talks about. And the function of energy is due to thermal forces. The amount of heat determines the quantity and quality of action. We're talking about because we use that electrical impulse all the time in describing chiropractic to people. And, is it a positive or a negative? I had to use a little bit of electricity, jargon, but, is it to our advantage to use the word electrical impulse or, relating to these things? What do you guys think?
I think that, I think we've learned over time, science has learned that there's different types of information being transmitted, that we used to think that there was some electrical simulation going along nerves, and then they thought there was all chemical, and now we know there's sonic transmission. There's all kinds of stuff that goes on, that it's not limited, but those are things that can all be interfered with. Mental impulse here, as he says, is mental impulse is an excitement of the mind by innate or spirit. And I'm not sure how far that is from what BJ said later on, because BJ says that the mental impulses are transmitted from innate to tissue cell, from brain cell to tissue cell. So wherever innate is generating the some sort of a mental impulse, a force that creates force that then makes things happen in the body.
Now, I'm going to take that to Stevenson's that we spent 5 months
Yeah, yeah,
on,
yeah.
where Stevenson said it's that a vital force. We're talking about life is communicating. It's immeasurable. It's life. We can measure, think about, we can measure it's a chemical, electric is very similar as an electrical impulse. There's chemistry, the neurotransmitter, but there's so much more than that. It's life being instantaneously alive through the nerve system itself. And it's easier for us to think of a water hose. And some parts of that's the part that, like you just said, that can subluxate, that's can be hindered with, right? But ultimately, we're looking at how life force, which can't, life is 100% all the time. God is 100% all the time. So I see as the life force is 100% all the time. What I feel is that just like science can prove nowadays with more modern technology, that it's inhibiting with the chemistry or even the electrical impulse at some point of the transmission of that being a subluxation. What do you guys think?
Come on, Carol, join in here. You got to have a thought on this.
Now, let's go to the next one. You guys want to move on? Go ahead,
All right.
Alan.
All right, then. To quote, hinder is to keep back, to prevent starting, or to object, to obstruct, or to shut off. The larger share of diseases are the result of too much vital force. Consequently, energy is not hindered, kept back, prevented, obstructed, or shut off, but accelerated, hastened, quickened, urged, hurried. The volume and force is augmented. Impinged nerves, in quotes, on the 5th page of this booklet. This is where Didi, some of this is Didi responding. To be clear, this is in quotes, impinged nerves. It means he's referring to something that he's been sent, that he's responding to here with all of his statements. So then he says, on the 5th page of this booklet is a cut displaying how nerves are squeezed or pinched. I've never seen a cut showing how nerves are pinched between the occiput and atlas, betwixt the atlas and axis, or between the joints of the feet. Why have not cuts of these showing how the first and second pairs of cervical nerves are impinged, also those of other joints than those of the vertebral column? Why not present cuts of these which do not pass through intervertebral foramina, because their nerves are impinged upon, not pinched? If so, are not other nerves also impinged upon? There is a vast difference between nerves being impinged upon, a pressure on or against one side, or being pinched between two hard bones. Should I keep going here?
Well, let's stop right there. Because, what'd you get out of that? Impingement, the pinch, because we talk about that too. Pinching nerves is a subluxation. Is Didi saying yes, a pinch, or no, a pinch?
Well, he's saying there's a difference between an impingement, which he defines as pressure on one side, versus pinched, which is pinched between two bones.
Yeah.
He
And
doesn't
he's
say
saying,
there's a difference in function there, but he does say that there's a difference between an impingement. He said that an impingement can happen anywhere, and that the description that he's talking about here says it is illustrating it only happening between two bones, which is the definition that I learned when I was at Sherman, right? Which most of us learned
oh,
probably,
yeah.
which was an occluded frame, and above a bone above and below, including a frame and impinging a nerve. But that's two bones. But here he's saying, what about one bone impinging a nerve?
And then also nerve tension he talks about too. If it's under tension, and we know under tensegrity and other things that is very likely the most common thing. Instead of a pinch, that a nerve is excited or in tension, or can actually be lax as well. That's really interesting. Anybody
Miguel,
else?
welcome
Anybody
to the
want any
party.
clarity? Or what's that?
I was saying hello to Miguel, who joined the party here.
Miguel, my man from Mexico. Good to see you. I'm glad you're here.
We're on
Hey,
page
how are you?
109.
We're on page 109 of D.D. Palmer's book. If you don't have it, I can email it to you for, another time or what have you. I have a PDF copy, okay? One day I'm going to work hard at translating that to Spanish. We did the 1914 in Spanish and Portuguese, and we did BJ's volume 33, Fame and Fortune, in Portuguese and Spanish. It would be really good to do this one in Spanish. But it's only 1,000-something pages. It takes a little bit longer to do. That's it. All right. Go ahead.
All right. So this is a quote from the other text then. Should an impingement cause pressure on the nerves that transmits the vital force to the kidneys, we have either Bright's disease or diabetes. And the DD responds, Bright disease is an affection of the kidneys, but diabetes not. Then a quote again, quote, chiropractic done or accomplished by hand, fixing hand practice, unquote. And that's the other text. So then DD responds, hand practice would be a systematic exercise for instruction or discipline, such as Dr. Arnold's painless adjusting, where every vertebra of the spine is luxated, then corrected in order to adjust the vertebra that has been violently displaced by accident or drawn out of alignment by toxic substance, or for that of clinics where from 2 to 26 vertebrae are thrust upon when only one displaced vertebra is causing a particular trouble from which the patient desires freedom. Quote, instead of treating diseases by the effects, we adjust the cause, unquote. And DD responds, the above sentence would be good chiropractic if the words by the effects were left out. Very often chiropractors try to say or do too much.
Let's stop there.
Yeah, so I was going to say, so what he's saying is if that previous statement that I read in quotes was instead of treating diseases, we adjust the cause, it would be a good statement.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to highlight that one again too. That's really good.
Yeah.
Okay. Because we had too much. Instead of treating diseases, we adjust the cause. Treatment, the word treatment is for the disease, right? We treat a disease, we care for a person. That's great. God, I love DD. I just love reading this. You know what I mean? It's like, just like, all us young children, let me tell you how proper grammar, hold your fork this way. Let's do this properly, kids. There's just
a laser focus here. There's just, this is it.
This
it's
is
just
it.
Picking out a word or two that's wrong and say that's wrong. And if you take that out, it's correct. It's so focused.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. When a nerve is impinged.
We say too much, right? So then we're back to the text that he's responding to. And the text says, when a nerve is impinged upon by pressure between two or more hard substances as two vertebrae, the function of that nerve is decreased, or rather, there is a lack of ease. So the chiropractor defines the term of disease as a lack of ease. DD responds, a nerve is impinged upon when pressed against. When pressed between two or more hard substances, it would be squeezed. Impinged and squeezed have two quite different meanings. We adjust vertebra, not the lack of ease. And that's an important line right there, too.
Read that again, if you don't mind.
We're back to the. Go on.
Can you let's clarify that. Let's clarify it. when a nerve is impinged upon by pressure between two more, okay, rather than a lack of ease. So the chiropractor defines the term of disease as a lack of ease. A nerve is impinged upon when pressed against. When pressure, okay, impinge or squeeze. We adjust vertebra, not the lack of ease. Okay, so the intention is to bring ease into the system, right? I would say you take the pressure off, the system's more at ease and functioning better. There's a lot in that little paragraph right there that he's sort of setting us at a different tone that gets marked for future outlines. Okay, want to keep going?
Okie doke. So then the text, the other text says, quote, "It may seem strange to you, but nevertheless, it has been demonstrated as a fact that all nerves of the body may be acted upon by the hands of the chiropractor," unquote. And Didi says, "Such does not seem strange to me. I very much desire to know how the 24 cranial and nerves of the sympathetic nervous system can be adjusted, acted upon by the hands. All nerves are connected with the spinal nerves by communicating fibers. These fibers become impinged upon or pressed against by the displaced bones." Shall I keep going?
Yeah, keep going.
Then, quote, "By adjusting the cause, we free the circulation both of the nerve and then the blood, permitting the refuse to be thrown out through the body in the normal way."
We know
Unquote.
Didi's going to refute this any second
There
right
you go.
now, right?
So Didi jumps right on that one with both feet. "Circulation is an act of circulating. There's no circulation in a nerve. The nerves are channels for motor impulses outward only and sensations inward. Neither circulate, move in a circle." Then, quote, "Stimulus is not a good name to apply to the electrical force which runs our bodies," unquote. And then Didi goes into some definitions here. He says, "A stimulus excites or produces a temporary increase of vital action. A sedative restrains, lessens functional activity. Any vital action or the temporary activity of nerves or the irritation of muscles would be a stimulus. Stimulus is not a good substitute for vital force, neither is electrical force.
Yeah.
Electrical pertains to electricity, a power in nature that is manifested in inanimate bodies. Magnetism is a similar force in animate bodies. We would not use such terms as stimulus, electricity, or magnetism as synonymous for vital force." We good? Keep going.
Yeah.
Quote, there's a quote again from the other text. "Chiropractic anatomy, physiology, hygiene, hydrotherapy, diabetes, rest cure, and massage. We consider all of these modes of drugless healing are an evolution from medicine to chiropractic. We have studied and practiced with success all of these methods of relief, but we have left them all, knowing that chiropractic is the climax." And you know Didi's coming back on that one.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then Didi responds, "Anatomy and physiology are not modes of healing. Chiropractic was not evolved from medicine in any other method except of magnetic. For 9 years previous to the discovery of adjusting vertebrae, I was practicing magnetic healing. During that time, I had developed much which afterwards became a part of the science of chiropractic. For example, I treated, as I supposed, the spleen for cancer of the breast, effecting a cure. Now I see that I relieved the nerves of that region of inflammation. There was, quote, nerve tracing in it. There was, quote, nerve tracing, unquote, in its infancy. While chiropractic is an outgrowth of magnetic healing, it is not magnetic healing advanced. It is not the climax of magnetism, nor any other method."
That's important. Really, being separate and distinct. We're so separate. He didn't develop it from magnetic healing. It's not the advancement of the magnetic healing, but he got the clues and the cues of how to bring chiropractic and what chiropractic was while he's practicing magnetic healing. Is that
Correct.
what you guys got out of that as well? And that's
Yeah.
important when people get that stuff wrong all the time. I think I've corrected it on Wikipedia myself. And you know what happens on Wikipedia when you correct something? Someone goes back and corrects it again. I've done it so many times on Wikipedia, I can't even do it anymore. But that's the one that comes up very often. Oh, it's an adjunct or the spin-off of magnetic healing and whatever. Or even I've read it from different people saying, it's it's something from medicine. I mean, I was really shocked by that one. But that's important for all of us to note that we're not just specialized magnetic healers, right?
No. I like that he notes that there was the infancy of nerve tracing, which was turned into Merrick system for a long time later on.
Yeah. I mean, I still have one on my wall. I have one on the wall. I point to the Merrick system all the time. I have a neuropathylator. I mean, basically, that's what that is,
Well, it oversimplifies, but it's an educational tool. As long as we understand that, the problem is that so many chiropractors today don't understand that it's a mechanism of instruction. It's an oversimplification of the reality.
Absolutely. I mean, to make anything that simple of something so complex, like Didi would probably be doing backflips over that, But, it is, you can't simply say T7, goes to your skin. I think that's one of them. I'm like, there's so many, nerve and, things that go out to the skin. Each sebaceous gland has its own nerve, Okay, should we keep going? I would say yes.
All right. And if one knew nothing of so back to the quotation, if one knew nothing of chiropractic and had to choose between manufactured chemical to assimilate with natural chemical, unquote, then Didi responds, chemical pertains to chemistry. Chemistry is a science which treats of the elements, the atomic relations of matter, and of the various compounds which are formed by elementary substances. The science, knowledge of chemistry consists of reducing a compound body to its elements and of uniting elements to make a compound. For example, lye and grease are elements, which, when united, form a compound known as soap. Soap is produced by combining fats and oils with alkalis or alkaline earths, usually by boiling. The science or knowledge of making soap is so far as it goes, is chemistry. Soap is a compound. To reduce it back to its elements from that which it was made is a chemical act. That is chemistry in a nutshell. A chemist knows when a man talks about a manufactured chemical or a natural chemical, that he is not acquainted with chemistry, that he is using terms which do not apply to the science of chemistry. A chiropractor wrote me, quote, it is just as natural for me to handle diseases as to breathe, unquote. Quote, I tell you, I have 6 misplaced vertebrae. Maybe I don't suffer a little. Can't get out of my chair today, unquote. And Didi says, why not learn to handle vertebrae instead of diseases? Objects are displaced when moved out of their place where they belong. They are misplaced when mislaid. One may know where to find that which he has displaced, but he cannot find what he has misplaced. Vertebrae are displaced, not misplaced. Chiropractic is not a method of treatment or a process of treating diseases. Instead, chiropractors replace the parts which are not in opposition to their normal relative position.
Let's stop right
Just
there.
stop right there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
there are two things there that, I mean, the definition of misplaced versus displaced is clear. And then to say chiropractic is not a method of treatment or a process of treating diseases. Instead, chiropractors place the parts which are not in opposition to their normal relative position.
This is where treatment has gone off the deep end. It is a curse word in chiropractic because that's what we're doing, is focusing on the problem, the dis-ease. One of my mentors in Toggle, Clarence Jensen, who is at Clearview, we took an x-ray, full spine x-ray of me, and saw a big thing in my lung. Okay, I'm going to tell a little story. And when he saw that, he goes, puts his hand over and says, don't name it, don't own it. And I said, okay. He put me on the table, toggled me, put a blanket. This is at his house. He put a blanket on top of me, and I laid there for 45 minutes. I didn't budge. And I was living in Los Angeles at the time, and I got when a man we think is an ingrown hair, and I thought it was ingrown hair, but it was my lymph node. And I still have that lymph node. It's hard right now. And there is nothing left on my lung. He didn't treat the disease in any way. This is not what we're here for. With just that subluxation, toggled my atlas and allowed my own spirit to heal me. And that's an important example. And, we can use it from other people, but this is one of my stories. And I don't own it really, but it's a good example to explain to other people. He didn't treat the disease. We didn't focus on the problem, but allow my body to heal itself. Everything else will be okay. I move the bone, God does the healing, is what Sigafus used to say. Anybody else? I saw a high pie from you there, Chris. Nice.
I am loving my toggle table, man.
Nice. You got a rock from me.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Awesome.
People are holding 4 or 5 visits. I can't believe I hadn't started earlier.
When you're using quality and that has energy, you realize the chiropractors that have served their people on those tables, they're 1940s, 1950 maybe. And so I'm so blessed to hear that. Thank you. That is awesome. So we're changing lives. This is going to shift gears in a second. Go ahead, Alan.
I was going to say, you mentioned Sigafus. I want to just take a moment to acknowledge that his wife Patsy died this week, and I just want to acknowledge her and her contributions to our profession. Most people don't realize how important she was to the profession. Yeah. And I mean, if nothing else, she had 6 kids that were all chiropractors. Her daughter is president of the ICA right now, right? I know Dawn, I know Selena, I know a number of the other kids, and she was just a wonderful, wonderful person, and just take a moment to acknowledge her in her passing this week.
Patsy was my pal. I loved Patsy, and she made the gathering. When she was there, she was just an angel. And she is truly missed. And she is a bright shining light in chiropractic. Whether she's here with us or not, her light is still shining bright.
And we have so many of the people that I knew, are passing, and it's a generation is that last generation is almost gone, and I mean Didi is still Didi Umber is still here, but
I'll see him this weekend at DE. Everybody.
We have to acknowledge our mentors as they transition.
Yeah. And now it's up to us, what they taught us, to carry that torch. That's why we show up, why we teach, and why we share, and go to Mexico, and go to Brazil, and go all over the world, because the mentors that we had, it's not going to end with us. We got to share it. We got to share it and keep sharing it.
That's why we do this every week.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just go into that just a moment, is that Sigafus started reading the green books. I found my CDs. I have like 8 CDs of Sigafus reading. It was Bigness of the Fellow Within. And I think there's another one. It might have been Palmer's Law of Life, I think, part of it. And, he started that. But you realize this is a monumental task, monumental. So I've had professional readers read them, and a couple of them, the two that the 1914 and volume 33. And, now we're doing this way because we've got to share this. And not everybody's a reader. And, you got to digest this as you read it. You can't read it like a novel. There's no way. You've got to read it slowly. And I read so slowly sometimes, like, what in the world did he say? But, we're doing a lot of, and I just want to acknowledge you guys, you're the 1% of chiropractic. So few people study the philosophy. They just want to do the doing. Here's the adjustment, right? And that's in innate adjusting. We teach you adjusting, but it all comes from within first. We adjust our innate first before we deliver the adjustment. So important because it's who we are first as the server. And that's what he's doing, is adjusting the chiropractor. So valuable. Okay.
These texts are hard to read.
Oh my gosh.
It's just reading them, to be able to read them out loud is hard.
And I think,
alone read them. The text it's not, the English and the grammar is not always the same as what we're used to now from 100 years ago.
And BJ's even worse. His
BJ's
grammar and the writing is so hard to read, but he's got great ideas. We got to get it from him. As he got older, it was sort of easier to read. And I think he just got kind of lazier again after that. But, that's why we have to do it together and break it down. And, the old guy said, okay, we're breaking it down tonight. And it's like, we got to break it down and figure it out. It's great. All right. This is what I'm going to suggest. We read these 2 paragraphs and stop there. Okay. Or we stop there. We stop where we are. There's a good stopping point and pick up here on page 212 where we think this might be BJ speaking. Okay.
112.
Pick back up here at 112.
Well, you said 212. I don't want people to be confused.
Did I see 212? My apologies. 112. I think this is a good stopping point. Okay.
I want to go back and see if I can find out something about this. Maybe I'll check with Simon about those next 2 paragraphs, see what he has to say.
That'll be a good idea because it's going to get meatier. Matter of fact, in my outline, I've kind of skipped those couple of pages. I'm glad we went back to it because there's some meat in it, but it just gets a little, these are, I don't know if you could see all these notes I have from that point, from this point on here. There's a lot going on. So why don't we do that? Anybody want any clarity or want to just say anything at all? How's it going? The application of this to service of the people, that's what it is educating them on chiropractic, the chiropractors on chiropractic. Miguel, you and I you're so helpful. I couldn't have done the Campamento Mexico without you. And, having your firm grasp. And now Miguel is the Chiro Hustle Mexico. And he's doing an awesome job. I like listening in your podcast. My Spanish is, less than good in any way, but I get a lot out of it. And I get a lot. It's really good stuff, Miguel. You're doing great work. Thank you very much.
And no, thank you. I really appreciate your words. I like to be here with all of you again. So I really appreciate all the information that you are giving to me in this moment, talking about the green books. Well, that word that you said, impeachment, is very interesting for me because in Spanish, we don't have the translation. It doesn't exist. We're here in Mexico, we say pinchado, but it's not the same.
Interesting.
So thank you for that.
Okay, pinchado. And so you don't have the difference in those things. Okay. That's interesting of how we're going to translate that stuff.
So you're saying there's not a difference in Spanish between impinged and pinched?
Yeah, it's different. Yeah.
Would you say maybe inhibited? You think that's a synonym, Alan?
No, not really.
Not really.
Huh.
What Didi's working on really, Miguel, is getting us very specific with our words. But that's tough in the translation. I wonder what's in Portuguese. I'll ask my wife.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of Brazilians that listen to this podcast, and we put it in Portuguese subtitles, and we're trying to get Spanish subtitles in here now too. I just don't have anybody to do it right now. Maybe you can help find somebody to embed it in the YouTube.
Okay, I'm gonna find them.
Okay, we go back and get all the DD stuff. We all need it, man. It's so important. Awesome. Anybody have anything else? Chris, it's so awesome to see you, man. I haven't seen you in a while. I'll see you in a couple of days at DE. And I'm glad you can join us. Okay.
Thanks for inviting. I will not be at DE this weekend. I'm doing Life Force this weekend and staying local.
You told me that. I apologize. That's cool. And I'm doing the CEs at DE next in April. I'm teaching innate adjusting, so it should be fun.
I will be there for that. I already booked my hotel or Airbnb for that weekend.
Nice. Oh, one little shameless plug. Innate adjusting workshops, Level Up is this one. We're focusing on, and it's January 29th. We're focusing on adjusting the Atlas, C4 and C5, T1, T2, T11, T12, and the lumbars. All the places where people have the most trouble adjusting with refinement. Okay. Miguel, you helped me teach a lot of that in Mexico in the past. We're going to go and we're going to make videos, and we'll also, we'll have that with Spanish subtitles for sure. Okay. That's the end of my shameless plug for our workshop. All right. January 29th. I love and appreciate you guys. Carol, I hope you can join us because I'm going to teach you how to adjust those too. Okay. Bobby will be really happy about that. I love and appreciate you guys. I hope to see you next weekend. Hey, Bob.
Hey, Bob.
I hope to see you next Tuesday. Invite your friends. God bless you. And I'll see you soon.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. See you soon.
Thank you. Love you.
Love you too. Miguel, every Tuesday, okay?